G'day warbanders and welcome back to another video, this time on Dawn of War 4, and just a specific detail that I wanted to point out when I've been looking at footage of Dawn of War, and specifically the guardsmen. And you all know that I love guardsmen. I love the guard, their depiction, their artistic style. It just screams World War I, World War II aesthetics, and I just love it. And one particular detail is the Lasguns. Now in Dawn of War 4, they changed the Lasguns from red to yellowish. So instead of laser red beams, they've changed it to yellow bolts. And this is not a lore change, but it's actually Games Workshop trying to keep their lore more consistent, because a common misconception that I just found out is that Lasguns actually aren't red. Surprising. It's all over the codex art. Now going back to probably even first edition, I don't know, but there's so much codex art from earlier tabletop editions where you can see guardsmen, sentinels, all types of Astra Militarum infantry shooting yellow bolts of light. So it does make sense in Dawn of War 4 for Lasguns to be shooting yellow bolts of light or whatever it is. But I still don't agree with this change, because we're so used to the Dawn of War style of red lasgun beams. I also think that the lasgun shooting yellow, bolts of light or whatever it is it makes it look too similar to a slug thrower or auto guns. It makes it too similar to bolt guns, so it's hard to distinguish if they're actually shooting like lasguns. And I always preferred Dawn of War style. I actually liked Relic changing the lasguns to red, even though there's a counter argument to be made that it looks a bit like Star Wars. Both are valid choices, but I just think it looks terrible in Dawn of War, to be frank. Of course, GW, they want to correct the lore, they're changing everything, they're so autistic, and I just don't like lasguns being yellow. It's a bad look in Dawn of War 4, and I can see why people are bringing it up. And you might go, oh, Warband players, you're a fucking nerd. Why are you talking about this shit? I've been playing the tabletop game on and off for a couple of years now, and it's just, I've always thought of the lasguns as red. And I feel like, King Art should have made them red. Okay, what do you think, guys? Should they be red? And I'll just quote Games Workshop's quote on what lasguns look like. And they say, their depiction has been remarkably consistent. They fire discrete, pale white yellow bolts, not visually dissimilar to the traces of the hard round guns they've replaced. You can see that lasguns do have a type of muzzle flare, not a flame like gunpowder weapons, but more a flash of light. More recently, we started to see them pop up on our TV screens and game devices, with varying examples of what they look like and sound like in action. Of course, some variance in colour is explained by the energy interacting differently to different sorts of atmospheric conditions, not to mention the many patterns and variations in use across the vastness of the Imperium. So even then, Games Workshop is contradicting themselves again, because they go, oh, they shoot discrete pale white yellow bolts, but then they say they don't because lasguns are different. So really their lore is already inconsistent. So, and I feel like 50 to 60% of the fans, they want red lasgun bolts or red lasgun beams, sorry, because they just look better. They they distinguish the lasgun from the bolt gun, make them a bit more distinct. Because when I was first looking at the codex art for the Imperial Guard, I was a bit confused. I was like, why do they look like they're shooting regular guns with when they're called lasguns? Because I associate laser beams or lasguns with red. So I just think it's a weird decision to change it, and it's probably Games Workshop doing it. And I just have a hate and love relationship with Games Workshop, because Games Workshop, they made the IP, they started it out, but now it's just sort of gone to shit. But I don't care, because 40k canon is in my head, I make up my own canon, and in my world, Lasguns are red. And what do you guys think? Tell me your thoughts, and comment below if you think Lasguns should be red or yellow. Thank you very much, and please like and subscribe if you enjoy these lore type videos.